What was life like for you growing up?
Mine was pretty normal. I grew up in the area that I'm in the area that I sell in from that standpoint. So grew up in a real estate family. So
Okay.
my journey a little bit different probably than most. I hear a lot of people, got cut from corporate America, got whatnot. But I was in probably seventh grade helping my mom put, 35 millimeter pictures on the front of folders that they used to hand out at open houses right before all the digital stuff came around. So kind of grew up in that. And I think she got in the business when I was in fifth grade. So did my homework at old musty mildew smelling brokerages in Ashley and Delaware, Ohio, and kind of got kicked off there. Yeah. Everybody's a little surprised when they see me and then they realize my license numbers doesn't have a year in front of it. That's 44810. My God, how long were you in the business? So.
Yeah, I gotta ask, because I've had several people on here already that family or parents, have been in the business, and it's usually one way or the other. Were you someone that growing up you found to love real estate, or that you hated real estate?
No, I loved it. Like it was part of it. I'll be honest, you're gonna get me on a soapbox now, because it drives me nuts when you have these real estate agents and their kids hate the business, right? Like, oh, I'd never be a real estate agent, because it means that their mom or dad's at home just complaining about what is an awesome career, right? Like that it's just an amazing career that somebody could have, and it's not being portrayed that way. And so yeah, that's tough. So I loved it. It was in my blood from day one. So
I'm curious, what was it for you that you saw, you know, in the business that turned you on to it?
yeah, I think for me it was, I mean, honestly, it was just that the kind of entrepreneurship side of it, right? Like the making your own rules, doing your own thing, and then helping, what we get to do, helping somebody in their journey from home ownership and being that consultant side of it.
Yeah.
There's no other feeling from being able to take somebody from that point of not, renting a house or living at home or in a dorm room or whatever, and then bringing them to their actual home where they're going to raise a family or whatever they're going to do in it. So I think
Yeah.
that's really makes it. Yeah.
Did you see more of the and I'm just curious, just because you said, they'll get you going on the soapbox, so now I'm gonna
Yeah.
dig a little bit deeper, but dig a
Yeah.
little deeper. But did you see it more on the uh, work-life balance, or was it always on the go? Because I'm just curious, because some agents, it's more of a job, meaning, we're on the clock with our clients, and we're just reacting, and we're going from 9 to 9, Monday through Sunday. And some people have it set up to where it's a business, and, there is that balance within their life. So I'd just be curious of your own
Yeah,
personal
I think
experience.
I think I've seen that. Mostly, it's with those scattered agents, right? That are just like running, ripping their hair out, trying to get to the next appointment, or jumping out there. Seen the story the other day. Somebody was upset because they drove to hour away to show a house and the buyer didn't show up. Well, that ends when you do a buyer consult at your office before, and you get to know them, when you're not just meeting them out at the house, right? Running it like a business. So I definitely seen it with that. Like, and I say it because my son just turned 18. Oh, sorry, just turned 19 on Friday. And he should have his real estate license here real shortly. So he
Okay.
definitely wants to get into the business. I think he's seen the side of it. I didn't miss a soccer game. I didn't, this is my 23rd year in the business. So didn't miss a soccer game, didn't miss a dance recital, hardly ever missed a family dinner, from that standpoint. Have my weekends for the most part at home with them, or if they had basketball games on the weekends, I'd show house, stop in, watch the basketball game, go out, show more houses
Yeah.
when I was doing more of it myself. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just an interesting, it's interesting because it's a lot of people that we speak to, and this is why I'm just curious with you growing up in the business is, a lot of us, myself included, we're not salespeople. A lot of times we're not even entrepreneurs. And a lot of times we don't understand how to set up our business to actually run like the business, to where you can kind of have some of that control, some of that freedom, to set some of those boundaries, because if you
Yeah,
don't, then it will be running all over the place.
it definitely can for
So,
sure.
so Zach, growing up, obviously being in the business, did you, high school years, did you have any other interests, hobbies? I know you said one of the things that caught your eye of real estate was the entrepreneurship side. Were you always kind of just like that business minded person, or is that something that you
Yeah,
learned along the way?
Started lawn mowing for some condos down on Powell Road at the time, right? Like back when I was 13, 14, whatnot. Worked in a machine shop for about a year, maybe. And then my high school career was McDonald's. So, which is funny, like when you look back, I actually learned a lot of business tactics and things from working in McDonald's, like just seeing the operation of a franchise work the way it does with the set rules and processes and kind of stuff that I didn't really give any weight to until later. And I'm like, where did I pick that up? And then you realize, oh, that was from my days at McDonald's. But no, high school was, I probably will, like every other high school kid, didn't really, knew what my parents at that point in time, my mom and stepdad were starting to flip houses probably when I was maybe going into my junior year of high school. So doing a little
Okay.
bit of work on houses on the side with them, but not being all in with whatever they were doing because obviously they weren't as cool as I was. So
Yeah.
um, that was that for them. So yeah.
Did you know going right out of high school that you wanted to be into real estate, or did you end up going off to college?
Funny. I met my wife for the last. She's been my wife now for 23 years in July. Probably might not even have made it out of high school without her. Right? Like I wasn't finding my way. My junior year was really bad. Like I always tell everybody, I'm probably smarter than most of them because it only took me 3 years to get out of high school. Because my junior year wasn't considered a passing year. So I did it with my freshman, sophomore, and senior year. But she convinced me, or kind of her family convinced me, that college was the way to go. Like, hey, clearly this is how this works. Like, you got to go to college. It was the late 90s. So it was, technology. So I went into information technology at the University of Toledo. And that lasted for about 3 months. I came home for Christmas break and I knew I didn't want to go back, but I did because my girlfriend was there. Went back, ended up staying for like long enough to drop out of your classes and still pay for your second semester. And then at that same time, I had the money I'd saved up in high school. My parents let me put that into a flip that they were working on, and so I was coming
Oh
home on the
wow.
weekend and flipping houses. Working on a flip house that they did. And that's kind of how that kicked off my, basically turned my $10,000 into about $30,000 within, 4 or 5 months. And then when you're rolling down to the job board for the school you're getting ready to go to for 4 years that you hate because it's math, science, and English again, like high school all over again. And you realize like you're looking at job boards where it's like, oh man, it's going to take me a whole year to earn what I just earned flipping. The math wasn't working out for me, so that was like
Yeah.
time to drop out. So left that and came back from Toledo, came back to Columbus, Ohio, and turns out you actually need a job to buy houses. You can't just buy houses without a job. So ended up getting on at Liebert Corporation, powder coat and parts on the floor. And I just had a great group of guys there that they were old timers and they weren't going to let me get stuck there. They were
Hmm.
like, hey, they all have dreams and aspirations. And that's what's cool about it, John. Like, when you get that, I've always had tribes of people around me that just support everything that I do. And that I put all of that into them. Like they've pushed me through it. Those guys there were a big group where they were just like, you're better than here. You're getting out of here. You're going to fulfill those real estate dreams. And so, within about 2.5, I remember getting my real estate license probably about a year after I was working there, a year and a half.
Okay.
And my buddy Tracy grabs me by the arm. He goes, "Did you pass your test?" I'm like, "Yeah, I passed." He grabs me by my arm, takes me flying up the stairs, blasts open this office door, and he goes, "He just got his real estate license. You want to buy a horse farm? He's your guy." And that was my first client. Like, sold a $440,000 horse farm. That within like 6 weeks of getting my license, and I was like, "Holy!" Talk about I was making like $9 an hour.
Yeah.
At the floor at Liebert Corporation, and so it's just those guys. That's somebody that just believed in me and wanted me to be better, be better, have better than they did, and they like that. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm curious. Did the was college just not the right fit? Like, did you have was that like the entrepreneurship coming out? Like, was school like your thing, or just no
nah,
subjects that really interested you?
nothing really. The first time I'd ever really liked school, like even so, I really did fail my junior year. Like, I failed it, but I had enough credits for my freshman and sophomore year that my senior year, after I met my wife between my junior and senior year, and I'm like, I kind of get my crap together. I had to take junior math, junior English, senior. I had to take my whole senior year was a load. Everybody else was on easy street. I had to take everything twice, loaded, ended up with a 3.9 GPA. But my junior year, I had a 0.08
Oh
GPA.
wow.
0.08 is F's in everything except for an A in shop. So I had an A in
Yeah.
shop and F's in everything else because I just didn't do the work. It wasn't that I just didn't do it. It was just like
Sure.
uninterested, didn't really care about it. I had a job, was making money. I was working 36 hours because that was the max you could work at
Yeah.
McDonald's at that point in time, and just didn't really care about school at all. So school wasn't my thing. Didn't like it until I walked into Honduras College. As soon as I sat
Yeah.
down in principles and practice, I was like, oh, wow. Like if college would have been like this stuff, this this interests
Yeah.
me. I was on it.
I think it's so hard because, with college and stuff, I mean, like I went in 2007, and it wasn't, I would say it wasn't forced onto me by my family. It was kind of like implied a little bit,
Mhm.
but it's so hard for 18-year-olds to make the decision of what they want to go for. And, I ended up originally going for accounting, and I failed calculus and switched to a different major. And I was like you, I was looking at the jobs of like graduation. I'm like, well, a cocky 21-year-old just spent money to go through college. I'm like, well, I'm worth more than this,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
um, and it's one of those things where it's like, I just got into real estate and I got lucky, and a lot of people know my story on here, but um, yeah, it was just that. It was just like, man, I wasn't terrible at school. I wasn't great at school. I did okay, but it wasn't like it was hard to decide what to do and what to focus on for your
Yeah.
whole career.
Yeah. No,
Um,
I agree. I'm still not sure what I want to do. So
well, and this is like, this is why I love having, the top performing agents on in our markets, because we all come from so many different paths, so many different career choices. Some people it's, real estate is their fourth or fifth option, and some people it's their first, and there's no one end all be all way to get there. So, and